my music at all, you know I really like chords, and I really like complicated harmony. And when I was trying to learn these chords, it would be easy to find, oh, here is a way to play a major 13. Or here is a way to play a major 7 with an 11 attached to it or something. But it was hard to find how to use those concepts. You know, how do people use that harmonically? And one of the reasons, of course, is that you can use it any way you want. Because music theory is just a way to help you play what you hear. Period. You know, the only reason you use music theory is to help you play what you hear. But it was still frustrating for me. And so this is almost like a note to my younger self. Hey, this is a way to begin using this chord. So I'm starting this series, and I'm just going to do it chord by chord. And the first one that I want to talk about, because somebody brought it up recently, is the flat 13 chord. And the flat 13 often has a flat 9 as well. And it's usually a 7 chord that leads to the minor tonic. What does that mean? Every key has 2 key centers. It's got a major key center and a minor key center. And so if we're in C, vanilla old C, you've got 2 key centers. You've got a major key center, C, and you've got a minor key center, A minor, right?'t as you're working on these concepts, I highly recommend that you find the voicings away from the open strings, so that you can move the shapes around. Because if you're using open strings, it sort of fixes you into a key. But I can transpose this anywhere as long as I know where my minor key center is. Okay? So when do I use a flat 7, flat 13? What even is a flat 7, flat 13? Well, that's an extended chord. So we've got 3 main types of traditional chords. We've got triads, we've got 7th chords, and we've got extensions. And this is the 3rd level. This is extensions. So this is after you've learned all your triads, after you've learned all your 7 chords, you start learning your extensions, and then you start altering your extensions. You might alter your 7th chords early on, but alterations become really important when you start doing extended chords. So this extended chord, I'm going to do an E7, flat 9, flat 13. E7, flat 9, flat 13. So, what are these notes? I've got E, I've got G sharp, the 3rd of E, got D, the flat 7 of E, or the 7. I've got F, this is the flat 9, this is that diminished sound, and then up on top, I've got C, and C is the flat 13 of E. I'm only missing 1 note out of this chord in the classical sense. Like if I was to play this on piano, I would include a B, which is the 5 of E. But on guitar, you often have to omit a note, and whether I omit the 3rd or the 5th, it just depends on how stable I want it to be. A 5th is going to make the chord more stable, while it's also going to make it more vague. The 3rd makes it sound either major or minor. The 5th is in both of those. With this particular chord, that's what a flat 9 would sound like with a 5th in it. And I just tend to like the one with the 3 in it more with this voicing. So what are those frets? So I'm not playing the low E. I've got 7 on the A string, 6, 7, 6. Alright, so that's how you play it. That's the E7, flat 9, flat 13 chord. An extended chord, because it's got the 7, and then it has extensions, the 9 and the 13, which are both flat. E7, flat 9, flat 13. How do I use that? What is that used for? It is a crunchy chord. Man, ouch. All over. So I use that to resolve. It's got a lot of tension, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use dominant motion, which is going down a 5th with the root. So that drops from E minor chord. It resolves really nice to a minor 9. So I've got A minor 9, E7 flat 9, flat 13 to A minor 9. Right. Why does that work? Well, you've got this really, really crunchy chord, first of all. And so resolving to a triadic chord or a tonic 7 or a tonic 9, it just sounds nice. It sounds solid. It sounds like you meant to go somewhere. Dominant motion is one of the strongest types of harmonic motion you can have, where the root drops a fifth. It just feels very strong and very stable. The two types of harmonic motion, maybe that's not the best word, because harmonic motion can mean something else. It can mean two notes going up, one note going up and one staying the same, or two notes going in different directions. But chord motion, of all the types of chord motion that you can have, the two strongest types are dominant and stepwise, you know. And even then, you know, dominant motion sounds the strongest of those. Okay, well, let's look at this chord. Each voice, so if I'm going from the E to the A minor 9, that top voice just drops 1. This voice just drops 1. This voice drops a full step. This voice drops 1 step. That actually stays the same and has a drop. And so what you're going to find with a lot of chords is if you can move each voice by a step in a direction, it's going to sound stronger. This is true of a lot of different chords, and especially if you're going from a place where you've got alterations back into the key, back into the chord tones of a key, it's going to sound strong. Going from a place of tension to resolution, tension to resolution, tension to stability, tension to stability. And if you alternate these things, you're going to find that a lot of your chords sound rich and it sounds natural going from this chord to that chord. This is a concept you'll hear all over classical music and all over classical jazz. In a lot of modern jazz, you just go from tension to tension to tension to tension. But, you know, the whole thing with that is you've got these two tense chords, and they fall to this resolved chord. Two tense chords to a resolved chord. Tension, tension, stability. Tension, tension, stability. As like another example, you know, if you're going, you know, I just went from a B diminished to an A add 9. Very, very tense chord to a very stable chord. A little shimmery, you know, there's a little tension up here, but it's pleasant tension. It all agrees. You know, and so play with that idea. You know, if I'm in a scale, like what are some of the tense notes that I can have? How can I add like the flat 6 of the scale into a chord and then resolve it either up to a 6 or down to a 5 and make a chord that really emphasizes that note. This is sort of the core of what you call voice leading. Voice leading being, I've got, like, if each of these strings is a singer, how can I make it easy for that singer to move around these complicated or crunchy chords? You know, how can I move that singer from tension into stability, tension into stability, tension into tension into stability? You know, how can I chain this together? And how can I make each of these strings sing a melody? you can kind of go crazy with that concept, and the flat 9 flat 13 is just one way to do that. You've got a bunch of tension, and then you resolve that tension. You know, you've got a bunch of tension, resolve that tension, and falling. Do that all day, man. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to do this with a few different chords. This was just the first one because somebody brought it up. If there are any chords that you're like, I have no idea how to use this, or when to use this, or why I would even use this, this sounds so bad. Why would I ever use a fully diminished 7 chord? Why would I ever use a suspended chord? What is a suspended chord? You know, things like that. If you've got a chord that you're like, I have no idea what this is, can you talk to me about what this is? Bring it up. I would love to talk about it. So I hope this was helpful. I know it's a little rambly. I'm not the most concise speaker, but yeah, I hope that helped.